I think I'm too far back from my mic.
Can you hear us now? Yes, okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Krause. I'm the Director
Hey,
of
Brian.
Administration and Finance.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to face people, but I see all these microphones. So, anyways, I do have a handout for folks who might be interested in it. It's just kind of summaries of the budget and kind of showing tax rates as well on the last page. So, would anybody like one? Yep. Thank you.
Showing up. I didn't know anything about it. Oh, okay. I didn't.
Thanks, Reverend. All right, so just to kind of give everybody a quick synopsis of what's in your hands, if you got a copy, there is, and board members, I gave you copies as well. There is a summary of the budget. This is our preliminary budget as modified. And at the top half of that page is what represents our benefit basis budget. The bottom half is their ad valorem budget. So shows you the different items or different districts that are in our benefit basis budget. Sewers, drainage district, hydrant districts. And then our ad valorem budget is the general fund, the highway fund, part-town fund, which is town outside villages, consolidated garbage, and general lighting. So the very first page, the whole budget spend, the planned spend is $113,594,076. So how do we balance that? If you start from the outside, you figure out what sort of other revenues we're going to be bringing in. You determine if you want to potentially use some fund balance, so you appropriate or plan to spend some fund balance. And then finally, the tax levy is how we balance the budget. So there's 113 million on the spending side. There's 23.8 on the other revenue side. The appropriated fund balance is at 14.2 million, and the tax levy at $75.5 million. So the next two pages are just the tax levy and comparing it to last year. So again, you can see them by each district or fund, but ultimately the entire budget is comparatively tax levy going up. I'll call it $1.9 million. It's $1,898,206, which is a 2.58% increase. I just want to get through these so that you guys know what you're looking at, and then I'll go through my presentation. So the appropriations summary is our spending summary. And again, we compare 26 to 25. We're increasing our planned spending by just under $3.6 million, or 3.24%. And then the final page is kind of an example of what a tax bill, an average tax bill would look like. This is a house assessed at $155,400. And so you compare 26 to 27, or sorry, 26 to 25. It's an increase of $46.37. Again, this is just an average tax bill, so you can't necessarily say that that's going to be your house, but I'm just trying to show some examples. So let me get into the presentation. It was working, Kim. Go to the next page, please. So this is just talking about the budget process, and that it's in town law how the deadlines we have to meet. And in order to do that, we start this whole budget process in July, early August. We send out requests to each department head. We get that information back. We analyze it. We try to put it together. It's quite an involved process. So we end up taking what they have requested. We determine how many employees they have. I end up calculating the payroll and the benefits related to those employees. I figure out debt service on what sort of bonds we have outstanding. I figure out what our estimated revenues would look like. Try to put the budget together. So mid-September, the supervisor had completed his review of my work. We put the budget together, and ultimately he gave out the budget to the board members. I think on September 20th. Our required file date is September 30th. It's the first time it's ever happened before September 30th. Believe me, it's a hard process to get through. October, the board has listened to the different department heads. We've had actual public or hearings with the department heads. We've had actual discussions amongst the board to modify the budget. They modified the tentative budget to be the preliminary budget, which is what's in front of us right now. And ultimately, we're having our public hearing today, and we have to adopt the budget no later than November 18th, really. It says the 20th, that's by law, but the county's asking for it by the 18th. So again, I talked about the benefit basis versus the ad valorem budget. I explained those different funds in there. It's on that summary, so I'm going to just skip that page. We can go to next two, Kim. We can skip that one too. All right, so, and I kind of explained how the budget works as well. So on the left-hand side on that graph, just graphically, we're showing that we have a planned spend or appropriations for $113 million, 113.6. We have other revenues coming in, 23.8 million. We are potentially using fund balance of 14.2 million, and property taxes would be 75.5 million to balance the budget. Next page, please. Again, graphically, I apologize. These are kind of hard to see from a distance, but the green on that graph is really representative of, this is all an average homeowner's town and county tax bill. So what happens is the green up there is the town's portion of all this bill. The red is the fire districts. The gray one towards the top is the county, and then the blue one is the school district. So ultimately, your whole tax bill looks like that. The town representing about 35% of the tax bill. Next page, please. So to talk about the tax cap, New York State put in a tax cap back in 2012, I believe. It is the general rules are that it's limited to the lower of 2% or the rate of inflation, whichever is lower. For 2026, those are both 2%. The state has a website that assists in the calculation. The calculation is more than just taking the levy and multiplying by 2%. It has some adjustments related to payments in lieu of taxes, as well as some excludable costs for things such as like large lawsuits or pension costs that are over a certain number. So there is some adjustments in our calculation related to pilots and pension costs. So ultimately, we got to a 2.58% increase per their calculations, and that number in dollar value is $1,898,206, which is exactly where this tax levy increase is at the moment. Next. So appropriations, how do we spend the money? Our biggest spend is public safety, police and code enforcement, representing 35.5% of our spend. Highway and street lighting for 16.9%. Then we have sewers, storm drainage, hydrants, garbage, recycling next. And then, we have our administrative, general government, assessors, town clerk, admin offices. We also have our courts attached to the police building, and then the culture and recreation. So next, appropriation changes. So to talk about the big items, I mean, these budgets are voluminous. There are so many changes. There's 157 pages of a budget prep report that we've put together and is on our website. Obviously, I can't print that out for everybody. So if you're interested in getting into the details of things, that budget prep report gives a lot of details of what's in the budget, what sort of detail might be on each line. But I'm going to give you what are the largest hitting items. So when it comes to spending, we have obviously we perform services for the residents. So we have lots of employees, and we have 5 union contracts. All are in a settled state at 3.25% for 2026. So that increase represents we'll call it $930,000 of an increase in our wages. There's some union wage step increases where people are going through steps. They get a bigger step than just a percentage. There's about $50,000 of steps related to that. There's increases in overtime budgets related to the contract increases. There's court costs for an additional account clerk that was put in place. We added the town controller position in the last year. Some of the things that we're trying to contain costs with, there's an elimination of a highway working foreman. There is an elimination of a senior engineering assistant position. There's an elimination of a main pump maintenance worker position. We do have some contractual sellbacks related to the unions, $81,000 increase there. Part-time and seasonal, we do have some control over, who we're hiring, who we need. Obviously, minimum wage is increasing in 2026 from $15.50 to $16 an hour. So that has an impact on people who are here and people who are, going to be hired on even. So some of the cuts that were discussed in our process with the board, there's been discussion of cutting part-time pool staffing, closing a pool. That number was estimated at $115,000. And we also have some other cuts in part-time funding related to highway, code enforcement, engineering, building maintenance, cutting about $76,000. So our total payroll adjustments for the year are $928,000. The next thing we talk about is equipment, and we have a decent increase of highway equipment related mainly to snow plows, over $500,000 of an increase. We have building and parks and building maintenance vehicles that we're increasing slightly, $45,000 for pickup trucks, a pickup truck. Sanitation is in need of a new pickup truck, $60,000. The sewer district sewer maintenance equipment for backup pumps and at certain pump stations, there's an increase of $82,000 related to that. Central garage pool cars has been pared down by $104,000. And then we cut sewer district vehicles. So in total, our highway or our equipment in total for the town is increasing $510,000. We have like some outside contractors, outside contracts, things that we spend money on that aren't personnel related and equipment related. So we have a decent amount of savings related to the streetlight LED conversion project that we had, saved $113,000 in this budget. We've reduced gas and diesel appropriations by $95,000. Our building utility costs, though, has increased by $90,000. Highway training costs have increased. Well, I guess there's a plan in place because there's been, intent to try to utilize highway personnel more frequently to do more in-house work, and there's some training costs related to that. So there's been $99,000 added to the budget related to that to get these people trained properly. There's a reduction in our general contingency line by $100,000. We did reduce Meals on Wheels, a donation that we make to Meals on Wheels by $27,500. Items additionally adjusted due truly to contractual agreements. We have a Buffalo Sewer Authority bill that we have to pay annually. That's actually going down $700,000. So that was a nice savings there. Erie County sewer charges are up $43,000. Our sanitation landfill costs are likely going to increase. We included $100,000 of an additional cost. That contract is ending at the end of 2025, so that number may even go higher than that, but we'll see how that goes. Recycling program per contract that was just entered into is increasing $333,000. And there are some savings related to Erie County. They bill us annually for assessment chargebacks. That went down by $165,000. So on this type of spending for outside contracts, the dollar value decreased by $484,000. These are our biggest cost increases, are fringe benefit related. They are contractually related due to union contracts. So when you increase wages, you have an increase of payroll taxes that went up $110,000. Retirement costs related to New York State retirement, the rates increased. We have an additional cost of over $1 million. When employees retire, they're entitled to a buyout related to their paid time off balances. So that increased $177,000 in this budget. And then the big hitter is medical costs. That increase, and we are self-insured with regard to medical costs. We have explored options, but we still believe that where we're at, self-insured by ourselves, is still the best answer. But the increase, with the way the healthcare system is going, went up $1.5 million. So we have debt service that we also have for outstanding bonds. We did not issue any new bonds in 2025. So the debt service actually is reduced down $302,000 in 2026. And then we are also self-insured for our general liability and workers' compensation costs, which we have some increases of about $35,000 related to those. On the revenue side of things, our budgeted other revenue streams have increased. Interest income has been increasing, although the trend now is potentially downward. So we did increase interest income estimates of $479,000. The police are find ways to bring in additional revenues related to grants and other use of our training facilities that we get paid for by other police organizations. So we have an additional income of $344,000 related to those police revenues. We do have the newer revenue of tax on adult use cannabis. That's just only started to come in the last year and a half or so. And we did increase that by $250,000. Sales tax estimates increased by $1 million. We also have a new revenue stream of a hotel bed tax, which you may have heard, just got passed by New York State, allowing us to do that. We have to put that into law locally, but there's been an estimate placed of about $500,000 related to that. The number, optimistically, I think is higher than that. So we're trying to be conservative from that standpoint. The mortgage tax estimate increased by $250,000. So overall, we increased our budgeted other revenues by almost $3 million, $2,998,000. Appropriated fund balance is it's what I call our planned use of cash reserves. It's what we could potentially use if we spent every dollar in our appropriations and if we brought in every revenue just exactly as we plan, we would actually use those appropriated fund balances. Now, generally, we bring in more than our revenue estimates, and we spend less because it's hard to spend every single dollar. You have employee turnover, there's vacancies. So generally, I mean, we are conservative in both of these estimates, and we don't spend as much fund balance or reserves as we appropriate the fund balance. So we did reduce that number in 2026 by $1.3 million. I think that was necessary, as we have been using some of those fund balances in years past. So this budget change summary on the yellow column is the appropriations. And so in 2025, our appropriations were $110 million. We have the increases of the payroll increases, $900,000, the equipment increases, $500,000, the reduction of the other contractual items of about $500,000, our fringe benefit increases of $2.8 million, debt service savings, $300,000, and our general liability and workers' comp insurance of about $35,000 increase. So adding $3.5 million to our appropriations, about 3.24%. The other side, of course, is other revenues. We added almost $3 million. We're reducing the amount of appropriated fund balance. So the balance of how we balance the budget is tax levy of an increase of $1,898,000, which is, again, the tax cap. These last two slides are just kind of, if you refer, I know you guys can't see it, so if you refer to your last page, and I don't have these exact numbers on the last page, but the benefit basis budget estimated tax change is about $7 of an increase in this current budget. And then the ad valorem budget increase is about $39.32. So ultimately, those two numbers add together to be around that $46 on your sheet of paper there, the bottom right hand area. So ultimately, again, that's an average household. It's not everyone's household. I get it. The final thing I wanted to discuss is we do have a tax credit that we adjust the Village of Depew's tax rate. And again, so the one thing, if you're interested in this, the Village of Depew, if you look at the very top of that tax rate page, has a rate going down. And so that being said, the reason for that is we are increasing the tax credit that we've been giving the village residents from $500,000 to $600,000 in 2026. So it's a decrease of 1.93%. So that's been requested by the village mayor for the last year. He's been kind of, asking for us to try to do better for them. And that was an effort to get that done. So I think that is all I have on a formal presentation. I think from there, I don't know, Supervisor, if you want to then you kind of allow people to have their time at the.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
So, our next order of business is going to be public comment related to the budget. And following that, we'll take any comments from council members, and we will be taking up a couple resolution items. So I'm going to go get the sign-in sheet. Oh, thank you, Deputy. Appreciate it. We have a number of folks signed up for public comment, and we're going to begin with Dave Maguda.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm representing the Cheektowaga Community Symphony Orchestra, which has been around in the town for 65 years. And I noticed in our budget, you're axing everything, the whole $12,150. When I first started 20-something years ago, we used to get $24,000 from the town. And we've been getting cut and cut and cut and cut and cut. Now we're down to $12,000. Last year you upped us to $150, so it was $12,150. And now in your budget now you're axing everything. So unfortunately, with that, we can't sustain any concerts or anything like that. So if we don't get any funding, we're going to have to shut it down after 65 years. And we also have assets at the ice rink where we store all our music. We do have some equipment that we have, so in value, it's probably close to around $90,000 in assets that the town would have to get rid of. And the Cheektowaga Chorus that we used to have abolished a few years ago, well, all that stuff's still sitting at the ice rink also. So there's a lot of music and everything else that they left So it's a lot of money sitting there going to waste. We have 70 people that play in the orchestra. Some do live in town. Most of them come from Hamburg, Orchard Park, Lewiston, Lockport, and they come to play in this orchestra. Compared to Orchard Park and Amherst Symphony, they come to us because they like playing here. And then also with our budget that we get, we are severely underpaying certain people, concertmaster, the conductor, general manager. We are like half of what these other organizations are paying. And with the cut in the budget, there's just no way we can sustain it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Doreen Friedrich.
Good evening. I know most of you's. Glad to be here. Glad I can speak. Thank you for letting me speak to the town board. And just so you know, I am missing my water aerobics class tonight just to come here. So I am here today to ask the board, when considering the budget, to consider very carefully not to cut the recreation department. As a town, this is one of the best programs we offer to our residents. I'm a lifelong Cheektowaga resident and a homeowner and a taxpayer for over 40 years. The services this department offers are priceless, and I fear that if they are cut, we will never get them back. If you don't know some of the services they offer, well, I can just tell you, there's swimming lessons at Town Park Pool in the summer. To sign up for these lessons, there was a line outside the door on registration day at the Alexander Building. Or if you call the rec center numerous times, my husband will be on his cell phone, I'll be on mine, trying to get through to register our grandchildren. That's how popular this swimming program is. The 6-week programs bring kids together from all over the town. They learn what could be a life-saving skill, and they enjoy meeting new friends. Some of the other offerings from the Recreation Department, just to name a few, are the Summer Playground Program. This 6-week program is mostly run by college students, and they're benefiting from a summer job and working with children. Neighborhood kids come together at a local playground for 2 hours to play dodgeball, capture the flag, foursquare, to make crafts and new friends. It is a safe, supervised environment. Some of the other offerings are crafts night for the children and adults. The Halloween party they just had, that is also always filled to capacity. The Christmas party, Friday night at the Alexander Building. I have also seen a very dedicated staff that goes above and beyond with decorations and welcoming the kids. If you have not seen the Halloween party at the Alexander Building, it's worth just stopping in there. They do so much, they put so much love and time into those decorations and welcoming all the kids. It's just wonderful. Also, adult water aerobics, which I am in my 5th year of taking. I have had 2 knee replacements, and my doctor said if it wasn't for the water aerobics, I wouldn't have been recovered so well. And a class that also fills up to capacity. If these classes and events are filled, obviously, there is a need for them in the town. As a resident, we need more than potholes being filled and garbage picked up. These are quality of life issues that enhance the life of our residents. My family and I have been attending these events for years, and I would like to see some of the town board members there just to see what a jewel this department is to our town. These are great activities for family. And as a board, do you really want to have a legacy that you were the one who closed the pools and depleted the quality of life in our town? I hope not. I hope that you can look at the budget carefully and just think of the quality of life for your residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doreen. I have 2 things, Madam Clerk, if you can get us to get the screen taken down, please. And there was a public comment as well from a David. It's about graffiti on Cuomo. That was mentioned at the last meeting we had. You have my apologies for not getting to our highway superintendent on that before. He's in the audience with us, so there's graffiti on a sign on Borden near Cuomo Park Boulevard. So if we can put that on the to-do list to deal with. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Our next speaker is Sandy Prisblack.
Good evening. Supervisor Nowak's tentative budget increased the tax rate to 7.6%. His intent was an honest evaluation of projected revenues and expenditures with the goal of maintaining current services while ensuring the long-term financial stability of the town. His revenue projections are admittedly conservative, and expenditure projections were based on the increased cost of labor, materials, and equipment. The Republican board majority voted down the resolution, which would have given residents the opportunity of public comment on whether or not the tax cap could be increased, effectively silencing our voices. The Republican majority presented their budget cut proposals at the October 24th budget discussion meeting. So how did the Republican majority budget accomplish remaining under the tax cap of a 2.5% increase? Here are some examples. Projecting revenue of nearly $500,000 on the yet to be voted into law bed tax. I think that's reckless. How do we know how much revenue we're going to have on something that isn't even a law yet? Projected budget cuts of $30,000 from Meals on Wheels funding, slashing overtime budgets with no consideration given to emergency preparedness, underfunding infrastructure and equipment purchases, and eliminating of training travel authorizations with president, which puts residents and town employees at greater risks. The Republican majority then voted in their preliminary budget by resolution at the October 28th board meeting. Cheektowaga residents responded by voting for 3 new and 1 incumbent Democratic board members on November 4th. Will you now work together on a sensible budget which doesn't slash youth and recreation funding, cuts to heavy equipment and purchases for the sewer and sanitation departments, and the elimination of critical staff positions in the highway planning and engineering departments? Thank you. And I just want to add one more thing that isn't budget related. I just wanted to say thank you to Tony Filipski for serving with me on the Cheektowaga Conservation Advisory Council and the EAC. I will miss you, and I appreciate your
Thanks, Sandy.
participation. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Colin Bishop.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity.
Before you begin, if you see me not paying attention to what you're doing, I'm trying to toggle between online and real life. So
No worries.
the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I'm here representing Feedmore Western New York. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I want to make sure everybody is aware of a couple of things. We serve 385 residents in Cheektowaga. This year, we're on pace to serve 96,000 meals to those homebound seniors. The funding for that comes from a variety of places. It begins at the federal government, through New York State and Erie County. What we receive for those meals for all of our programming around Erie and Niagara County is not 100% of the cost to us to prepare those meals. We go out to every municipality, ask for additional funding to make up the difference. Cheektowaga has been a long time advocate for this, a leader in Western New York in terms of funding that program, making sure that that difference is made up. A cut like this will have impact, and it is not a donation. When that contribution is made from Cheektowaga annually, there is a voucher that explicitly says what it's for, that it is for the home delivered meals program for Cheektowaga residents. That's the way it is in every community that contributes. And Cheektowaga is not alone in doing so. When we do lose funds, it might mean that there are future changes because we cannot continue doing the work we do when we continue to lose funds because we don't get 100% of the funding for this program from the federal government or from Erie County. That could mean there is a delay to service. People who are on service today are not going to lose their meals. I don't want anybody to be scared. But if somebody says tomorrow or in the future, I need meals for a parent, or for myself, there may be a delay adding you because we may not be able to add more people until somebody else is done with service. It could look like that. It could look like changes to the meals themselves because we have to be more cost conscious in terms of what goes into those meals. So there could be a variety of ways that our program has to change without the continued funding. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker is Lillian Stoll. I hope I got that correct. All right. The podium is yours.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time tonight. Most of you most likely don't recognize me, but I am a lifelong Cheektowaga resident. I am a full-time college student. I am an EMT in one of our volunteer fire departments, and I have been a part-time employee of the Youth and Recreation Department since June of 2022. I work year-round in several different spaces throughout the town. Seeing the proposed budget cuts in the 2026 preliminary budget are deeply troubling to me. And anecdotally, I would like to remind everyone today of the importance of this department, both to its employees and our community. I was a child raised in these programs where even if we were short on our income, my parents could still put me in swim lessons. They could still let me try out so many sports until one finally stuck for me, and it would let me make new friends at library craft nights. I also know that even years later, there are so many families in our own community that are much worse off than we were when I was younger. But those kids deserve to have the same opportunities and formative experience that I did. My own employment began as a lifeguard at Town Park in June 2022 before my senior year of high school. I speak not only for myself, but for likely every other employee across every other program in this department when I say that this job is life-changing. It provides a real sense of purpose, it teaches and encourages real leadership skills, and it creates an incredible community connection that cannot be found with a job flipping burgers or selling clothes that you see most kids or young adults my age doing today. Everyone within this department also takes their position with the kids seriously because we understand that we are the role models and these kids see us as their coach, their teacher, their counselor, and even like an older brother or sister figure. With some of these kids, we know that we may be the only real constant positive support in their lives, and the importance of that cannot be overstated. And I don't think that I could ever ask for a group of coworkers who are more devoted and enthusiastic than my full and part-time employees here in this department. The preliminary 2026 budget cuts would rip these jobs away from us, either by actually eliminating it through closing a whole pool or 2.5, cutting their program, or cutting their hours so deeply that they can't even afford to put gas in their car to drive to work. Everyone says kids these days don't want to work, but I can assure you that the kids and young adults that take the jobs here do want to work. They love their jobs, and they want to know that the town board supports what they do and does not just see them as a financial burden. More importantly, though, we need to remember the bigger picture of the kids, adults, and families that this budget will and what they would be robbed of. The biggest cut would go straight to our year-round swim lessons that attract hundreds of kids, possibly thousands. We always say that we don't make Olympic swimmers, even if we almost have. But more importantly than that, I have seen firsthand what can happen when a child who doesn't know how to swim finds themselves in a deadly situation and the negative outcome of that. And I don't understand, after seeing that, how anybody could think of taking away those swim lessons among other safety programs. It would also cut away our water aerobics and adult fitness programs that many people rely on to stay mobile and active, and close pools that have served our community for decades, with regular daily patrons and new ones coming in every single day, forcing them to either pay unnecessary fees or travel tens, possibly more miles away for relief from the hot summers if they even have that travel option, which many members of our community do not. It would also cut staffing camps, adapted recreation for our disabled community, our ice rink staffing, and so many more programs that these kids absolutely love and look forward to coming to. In my short time here, I have watched dozens of kids grow up and become more confident in themselves and more outgoing and wanting to learn and play, all because of the support that they got here through the Youth and Recreation Department. If this preliminary budget were to pass as proposed, our town would be hurting desperately. Every study in the book has proven that recreation programs improve the overall health, well-being, and safety of a community. For many of our youth, this may be the only way that they can have positive social interaction and physical activity outside of their school, while we provide safe and supervised instruction that can potentially steer them away from less fortunate, acceptable, and maybe legal activities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have two speakers signed up next. I'm starting to lose my voice. Sean Kunkel and Kathy Giles.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for letting me, both of us, speak this evening. My name is Kathy Giles. I've worked for the town of Cheektowaga for over 52 years. I started as a lifeguard in 1973 in the Maryville, not the animal, in 1973 as a lifeguard at the Maryville pool. I then ended up as the pool director, and now I'm the pool consultant. Next to me is Sean Kunkel, who is the current pool director. And between the two of us, we are bringing 74 years of experience to the town. We have a vested interest in what goes on at the town of Cheektowaga pools. I'm the past, he is the future. The two of us together are the present. I'd like to address the cuts of $115,750 just to the lifeguard line. It's not the pool budget, it's the lifeguard line and how that's going to affect us. I'd like to read to you an article from the CDC, Center of Disease and Prevention, that states, drowning deaths in the US were on a decline for decades. But a new report from the CDC has found that fatalities have been increasing since 2020. While it's not exactly clear what's causing the spike, public health experts believe effects of the COVID-19 pandemic could be at least part to blame. According to the CDC report, there was around 4,000 accidental drowning deaths in the US in 2019. That jumped up more than 4,500 fatalities annually, roughly a 10% increase. Young kids, older adults face the most risk. For children between the ages of 1 and 4, drowning is a leading cause of death, according to the CDC. The age group saw a 20% increase in drowning fatalities post-COVID. Adults 65 and older experienced the second highest rate of drowning, the report has found. Drowning is 100% preventable. It doesn't have to be this way. During the pandemic, public schools closed, lifeguards went home. The reasons for the increase in drowning deaths aren't known for certain, but the public health officials say the lockdowns and closures related to the pandemic affected how people interacted with water recreationally. However, we know that many public pools closed during the COVID-19 pandemic, which limited the availability of swimming lessons. Once the pools reopened, many facilities faced shortages of trained swimming instructors and lifeguards. With further reduction, the availability of swimming lessons and safe swimming areas. How did we deal with this situation? In a very proactive manner. The Youth and Recreation Department has 3 lifeguard instructors on staff that make sure their certifications didn't expire. Myself, Sean, and Tim Petronchuk, who is a full-time employee. They allowed 2 employees to receive water safety instructor certification. We normally offered 1 lifeguard training class. It was in January. Kids nowadays in January don't think of summer employment. Post-COVID, we decided we're going to have to do something. So we added a second class in June. Each class involves 26 hours of instruction. Class, in the water, learning, practicing, and written tests. We had a reasonably priced lifeguard class. We charge $150. If you work for the town, we had to do an incentive. When you work for the town all summer, had a good evaluation, that fee was refunded. We had to offer competitive hourly wages, reflecting the lifeguard class, CPR for professional rescuer, and AED certification. That 26 hours, they're just not somebody coming off the street. They're certified. Our demographics, we're near the Walden Galleria, fast food places, McDonald's, and so on. Car washes on every corner now. Tim Hortons on every corner. The city of Buffalo is paying lifeguards $20 an hour. That was their incentive. And then they're offering free recertification or certification classes. They still can't fill and run their 5 outdoor pools. Changes that we made. You can take lifeguarding as a 15-year-old. We didn't normally hire them at 15, but post-COVID, we needed to hire lifeguards. So we hired 15-year-olds because we can in our department. If we didn't have that class in June and hiring 15-year-olds, we wouldn't have opened Town Park in 2021. We allowed out-of-town people to apply for our jobs. There is one example. We have the Gawitt family. They are from Amherst. There are 5 children in that family. One is just as good as the other, and we have employed all of them, and it's to our benefit. We don't have any control over the minimum wage and it going up, but it is affecting us. Sean's going to talk to you a little bit about our swim lesson program.
Thank you for letting me speak to you guys. The town of Cheektowaga, post-COVID, has had our swim lesson program involving 1,400 people, and every year it's rising more and more. The town of Cheektowaga Pools program offers families 15 hours of swim lessons for $47. Okay, if you break that down to half an hour, like every other place that charges, it's $1.57 per half hour lesson. The YMCA offers lessons, and to match that 30 lessons that we offer, they would have to sign up for 4 classes, spanning through 12 months. They offer lessons 1 time a week. The estimated cost to a family with 1 adult as a member would be $1,451. The Michael Phelps Swim Program also has swim lessons. These lessons are also 30-minute classes. And if I were to start with my family today and go once a week, it would take 7 months for me to hit those 30 lessons that we offer in the summer. It would cost me just to have one of my children take that class $875. If I were to get her to do it twice a week, it would only take me 4 months, but it's still $660 that's coming out of my wallet. The Goldfish Swim School also offers a 30-minute classes. Again, this is 1 time a week, and if I were to send my daughter there, it would cost me $960. The JCC, to be a member there and have my children participate, for just one of them, would be $1,709.88 for them to hit the 30 classes that we offer in the summer. By taking away the pools and the staff, when I say pools, it's going to be more than 1 pool. We are doing a disservice to our town residents, especially our youth who don't have a voice. We are proud of the lessons that we offer. We have residents and non-residents alike that leave their town and they come to our pool, all 3 of them, to get the quality of lessons that our lifeguards provide for them. They don't stay in their town, they come to ours, because that's how much we put into it. Our lifeguards look forward to teaching these children and turning down jobs when it has to be a supervisor or head lifeguard, because they just want to be around those children, teaching them swim lessons. We offer lessons from parent-infant, preschool aquatics, levels 1 through 6, guard start, to try and encourage them to be lifeguards for us. Adult swim lessons, water aerobics. We provide lessons to not only our youth, but our young adults and senior citizens. We are taking opportunities away from our whole town, from the age of birth, all the way through who knows how old.
I'd like to leave you with a few facts. While you're considering cutting the lifeguard line by $115,750, okay? The last time our operating budget was $250,000 was in 2029. The minimum wage was 2009, $7.25 an hour. The impact of the cut will not only close the Maryvale pool, but possibly the Dingens pool. Town park hours will be affected also. Thanks to Crystal Fine, our Director of Recreation, Town Park Pool was awarded a $2.26 million state grant for improvements. Governor Hochul's New York Swim grant, build new pools, improve existing pools. That's coming to Town Park. Dingens Pool was awarded at $840,000 DASNY grant, along with the donation of a $30,000 donation from Tim Myers to improve the building. We have to have these pools open to receive these grants. Spend a day at the pool on a hot summer day and see what we do and all the activities that are enjoyed by the community. Empty pools open us up for lawsuits. I can just picture what they're going to do. There's an empty pool, whether it's Maryvale or it's Dingens or it's both. They're going to hop the fence. They're going to take their skateboards and they are going to go use the pools as a skate park. Somebody gets hurt. We now have a lawsuit, and it's going to cost you more than the amount that you are trying to cut our budget by. The last thing, there is no greater investment than our children and our grandchildren. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Paul Crabtree.
I came to this town in 92. I grew up on the west side, Lakeview Housing Projects, 14th Street, Jersey. Okay. I came here,
Speak up in the microphone.
Jersey, Lakeview Housing Projects, 14th Street. I came to this town in 92. Married a young lady. I'm here on behalf of my wife, Sharon Crabtree. I'm her husband. What's your limit of education? You. Go ahead.
Sorry,
What's your limit of education? What's your education level?
I've got a bachelor's degree.
Okay. You have property?
I do.
Okay. I'm talking it to my heart. Okay. I'm talking about these elderly people that are on fixed income. I can understand the children needs to learn how to swim, parks and this and that. But I'm talking about the elderly people. I'm retired myself. We're all on fixed income. Okay, about 2/3 of them are right here, right now. The other ones are not here. So think about that. Think about the elderly. I know the price of gas, price of food. Okay, it's hard to get day by day. So think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Our next speaker is Michael Schrook. I've got a Michael signed up. Are you here, sir? Okay, we're going to move on to, I've got a Jessica. Is it Wasney? Did I get that right?
Close.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wasney. I didn't know if it was a Z. I wasn't certain. So the podium is yours. Good evening.
Good evening. I wasn't planning on speaking, so please bear with me. I'm here in support of my kids and the Cheektowaga Youth in Rec. Sorry. They asked me to come, so here I am. Our Cheektowaga pools should stay open. Our children need a safe place to swim and play. And Youth and Rec programs should continue to help in teaching children and teens how to work and play together, teaching them vital important things for out in the world stuff, games, and confidence. The kids go on field trips. They love where they go. They love where they go and what they see and what they experience. Disabled kids work together with non-disabled kids, and this is important for both of them. Both my children were involved in the Youth and Rec program. They contribute where they are today to having been involved and their experiences. They're both very concerned as to the future of the YES program and access to the pool area. Today's kids need a place to belong and thrive and feel safe. It takes a village to raise a kid. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gary Bork.
First, I want to thank you all for your work on the budget. From the one that Mr. Nowak proposed, I think he did a good job in putting it forth, and from all the work you did to get to the one you now have before you. I'm disappointed, however, in that you promised you would show us a 1% cut budget. We didn't see it. Instead, we've got a budget that appropriations are going up significantly. And I'm not against that. I just think you should have given the public the information necessary so they could come here and speak like they did today. I'm also disappointed that we didn't get a hearing on going over the tax cap. From what I heard tonight, I understand why. You didn't want to hear that, did you? You didn't want to hear people say, we have to spend money if we want the things we expect in this town. But we did give you a hearing. It's called the election. So we got our say finally. But now let's talk about the budget. What was it, 20 years ago? The insurance companies, health insurance companies, realized that preventative medicine would reduce their actual cost. That telling people, go see your primary care doctor. You won't have to pay anything. We'll pay it. They did that because they knew in the long run, preventative medicine would help reduce their overall cost for healthcare. These youth and rec programs, that's the preventative medicine for crime. Ask the police department. They'll tell you that. You're going to cost us money by reducing those. It's going to come back and bite us next year. I hope that hotel tax brings us $3 million. I hope it does. But you're betting on something we don't have yet to do this gimmick of keeping the tax rate down. I don't think you're being honest with us is the problem. If you were honest with us, we'd have more people who could then comment on what they want. Do they want more tax? Are they willing to pay more? They want less? They don't want to spend here. But you haven't been honest with us. And I think that's the biggest disappointment I have. I don't want to see an 11% increase, Mr. Nowak, but I understand why you did it. You were honest about it. You told everybody back in January when the rest of you told us you're going to give us 1%. He at least told us the truth. And I hate this honesty. And I am so happy we had an election about it. Thank you.
The last speaker signed up for comment, Dan Collender.
Good evening. After watching Mr. Kraus's presentation there, crunching some numbers. And with the fringe benefits and the pay raises for the union people, that comes out to about $3.7 million. Okay, a percentage wise, as far as the increase, that's about 3.5% tax increase. So for those that are up here and voted to give the union employees pay raises this year, and you gave the union employees pay raises probably next year, maybe you shouldn't. Our new elected officials should also take note of this. That's 3.5% tax increase when you give out those pay raises. That's at today's level. Next year, the level's going to be higher because everything goes up. Okay. We know that's going to be over the tax cap already. Okay, because we're not going to have a 3.5 tax cap next year. We only had a 2.58 one this year. So people need to look into that. Now, I'm looking at online, and we had 95 people at a peak watching the feed. And we have roughly 75 in the room right now. Okay, there's 88,000 residents in this town. Okay, that doesn't mean the other, 88,000 or 87,800 people don't care, but they do care. Okay, there's 35,800 plus tax-paying property owners in this town. They have to pay for any increase. I mean, it's great. Everybody wants this, they want that. Who's paying for it? The property owners. 35,800 plus of us are paying for it. Some of us have limited incomes. Okay? The seniors have limited incomes. There's people on disability that have limited incomes. The more the tax increases, the more they have to pay, the less they have for their life. Okay, their life can include their electric bill, their gas bill. Maybe they like to go out and eat at least once a week. Maybe they're eating frozen dinners at $1 or $2 they buy at the Dollar General. I don't know, but they're out there, and you can bet they are out there. They're in our community. We have at least 169 foreclosed properties in this town. Increasing the taxes is going to add to that. It's not going to make it less. It's going to make more foreclosed properties, vacant properties in this town. Okay, it's going to make for more vacant commercial property in the town. Okay, it's great. Everybody wants pools. Okay, not everybody that lives in this town is using those pools. I would bet out of the 88,000 people, we'd be lucky if 23,000 of them use all these services that the rest of the property owners pay for. That means there's 60,000 people not using all these services. And I know in this room, I'm in the minority on this. But as a taxpayer, I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for a lot of people that are not in this meeting. We can't continue to be the highest tax town in Erie County. That's where we're at now. Okay, if we go 11%, we're going to keep the crown. That's one crown I don't want to have. I don't think any taxpayer is proud that we pay the highest taxes. I don't care how many services we have. I mean, there's nobody coming for as much as we pay in services. Somebody should be coming over and cleaning my house. It's not happening. Okay, we all have to do that. We have to buy supplies to clean it. We can't afford to do that if we keep giving all our money to the town, the county, the state. We can't do that. Enough of the tax increases. Let's get down, strip the budget down. I thought the Republicans went very conservative in their cuts. I'd have cut a lot more. That's the way I am. I know you left a lot of meat on the bone yet. Okay, I think you could have went more. Okay, could we went less? Yes, but who's paying the bill? 88,000 people want services. 35,800 plus are paying for them. Thank you.
We have a handful of people online with public comment, and there are a couple written statements that were submitted. So I'm going to go through the online comments, and then I'd like to read 3 statements into the record. With the online comment, I'm not going to use names. I'm just going to read the comments. We have, in my humble opinion, all the niceties like orchestras, recreation, etc., are not as important as enabling seniors and low-income people to remain in their homes. Another one we have, if people want to continue the orchestra, why don't they pay for it themselves? If I miss any comments, my apologies. I'm getting as many of these as I could. There's another that says unless and until we can curb spending, specifically reassessing number of town employees we need and their benefits. We cannot fund what we can't afford. Immediately after that, unfortunately, tough decisions need to be made. 7% tax increase is unacceptable. Need to bring cuts to the tax increase down. It says people in this town can't afford the taxes now, and a 7% increase will make it worse for all in the town. There's a couple others, similar sentiments. The YMCA has to make business decisions to stay in business. So should the town, so we can afford to keep our homes. Another comment, I'm insulted by the scare tactic. Speaker comments, the town cannot keep taxing people out of their homes. And looking through, there are a handful of others, and I will leave it at that for those that are online. There were 3 submissions regarding youth and recreation, and I'd like to read those into the record. Should have brought a gallon of water. First came to my office on Tuesday the 4th around noon. It says, good afternoon, Supervisor. I'm writing to express my extreme disagreement and disappointment in the proposed cuts to our town's recreation programs for children and families. Cutting services to children and families, which are at the heart of this community, is disgraceful. Although I am not shocked based on the overall political climate in this country and town, I've lived here my entire life, went to school here, and now raise my kids here. They're 10 and 6. We utilize the summer day camp. It's the most affordable childcare I could find, a program ran by dedicated and awesome staff. Okay. In a time where families are experiencing loss of food, increased cost of healthcare and childcare, a time in a town that is literally oozing with juvenile crime, and we think this is the answer. I want to know who on the board supports this. Sincerely concerned citizen. These other 2 are a little bit longer, so bear with me. This says, please read during public comment. I received this notice late yesterday evening. It says, hello, my name is Sarah Jackson. I've been a resident homeowner of Cheektowaga since May of 2018. I've loved every moment of being here and never complained. When I heard of a budget proposal to cut the funding to our youth and recreation program, I immediately panicked. As a single mother of 2 boys, I rely on Cheektowaga Youth and Rec beyond measure, especially getting help with financial aid for summer camp. Living mainly paycheck to paycheck when summer comes and school is out. Summer camp is my saving grace. The kids are out of school, but mom still has to work. Offering early start and late pickup for those of us who can't leave work by a certain time is the only reason a lot of us are able to continue working. The kids have to get a structured day filled with learning and fun, making lifelong bonds and memories, and developing social skills that will help them perform better throughout life. They think it is the best day ever, and I can still work without stressing about childcare, especially since most daycares do not offer summer-only sessions. During the time the kids are off in school, like winter break, spring break, and President's Week, Cheektowaga Youth and Rec is there to save the day again. Because again, mom has to work even though the kids have no school. Every single program is offered by Youth and Rec is nothing less than amazing. If we can join them all, we would. Every week and Friday nights, they have something to look forward to when Ed Alex is happening. A great way to unload and have some fun after a hard week of learning, not only for them, but myself as well, after having done all the cooking, cleaning, and yelling about homework all week. A little quiet time is nice for me. So they get to have fun, and I'm not yelling at them to just give me a few minutes of quiet because I'm so overstimulated from the week. I have to get my quiet time while they get to have fun. Super Saturday is when I get all the shopping done. I can go out and they are with me like Christmas and birthday or even grocery shopping by myself for a change. I rely on Cheektowaga Youth and Recreation more than I can ever put into words. A town that invests in its youth, invests in its future. A good youth program keeps residents like me here for life, and then they in turn get to watch my children decide to live here because they want a great youth program for their family. I brag about our youth and rec programs to everyone and anyone that will listen. I always get the same response. Wow, what an amazing youth department your town has. I'm so jealous. I wish I could find something like that for my child. And you know what the response is? You can. We welcome non-residents, so please check us out. I truly believe when kids are active in the community, it keeps the community in strong and encourages positive behaviors. Please, I urge you to really think about cutting funding for our youth and recreation department would do to our children, your future leaders, workers, and residents. I implore you to think of the recourse of cutting funding. Invest in our children, our youth, our teen help keeps them safe, and invest in the town's future. A Cheektowaga youth and recreation enthusiast. And I have a third. This was received on Tuesday morning at 8:20 a.m. It says, Dear Supervisor and members of the town board, I'm a Cheektowaga resident and the parent of 2 daughters who have participated in the town's youth program for many years. They're active in the Youth Engagement Service Program, which allows them to serve our neighbors and earn the volunteer hours required for National Junior Honor Society. I am writing to respectfully oppose the proposed 8.6% reduction to the youth and rec budget and to ask that this statement be entered into the public record. These programs are not extra. They are essential infrastructure for families, kids, and seniors. The proposed cuts would directly reduce access, safety, and inclusion in ways our community will feel immediately. Pool closures and cancel swim lessons for fitness classes. They remove life-saving instruction, low-cost exercise, and safe spaces for children and teens. Reduced summer day camp staffing means shorter program hours and fewer available spots for kids. This not only forces working parents to scramble for alternative and often more expensive childcare options, but it also reduces access to a safe, structured, and enriching environment for local kids. The town's summer day camp is more than just recreation. It's a trusted community program where children build friendships, develop teamwork and social skills, and stay physically active under the guidance of caring, trained staff. It also provides valuable opportunities for our teens to help develop leadership and responsibility through the Counselor in Training program, helping them gain confidence and experience that prepare them for future employment and community involvement. Cutting staff jeopardizes all of this: the quality of supervision, the number of families served, and the developmental benefits for younger campers and teen leaders. Each child and teen deserves a summer filled with learning, connection, and growth in a safe environment. Cuts to disability program mean fewer weekend opportunities for children and adults with disabilities, undermining inclusion and vital social recreational support. Fewer staff for town ID cards and potential public skate hour reductions make it harder for residents to access facilities and affordable family activities. Cuts to the YES program would directly impact the number of volunteer opportunities available to our teens, opportunities to help them connect with the community, build empathy, and learn the value of giving back. The program isn't just about logging volunteer hours. It's about developing future leaders. Through YES, students gain real-world experience by assisting at community events, supporting senior programs, helping with youth recreation, and participating in local service projects. These experiences teach responsibility, hard work, teamwork, and compassion, skills that benefit both the individual and the community. For many teens, YES is also a critical pathway to achieving their National Junior Honor Society and high school graduation service requirements. Limiting these opportunities places an unfair burden on motivated students who rely on town-sponsored programs to meet their goals. Beyond the hours of service project, YES fosters civic pride and a lifelong connection to Cheektowaga. When we invest in programs like this, we are investing in the next generation of engaged, caring residents. Cutting its funding risks losing its momentum and weakening the bridge between our youth and their community. Seeing firsthand how these programs build confident swimmers, safe and engaged teens, and a stronger, more connected community. When youth programs are cut, we don't just save dollars, we pay later in lost opportunities, reduce public safety, and higher cost. I urge the town to protect youth and recreation funding by looking for creative alternatives to broad budget cuts. Options like delaying non-essential equipment upgrades, expanding grant opportunities and partnerships, introducing small fee adjustments paired with scholarships, or reducing administrative costs before service cuts could help maintain the programs to directly benefit our residents. Please keep pools open and lessons running, maintain adequate staffing for summer day camp, protect weekend and disability programming, retain sufficient staffing for town IDs and public skate hours, and yes, fully fund yes, so teens can continue serving our town and meet academic service requirements. Thank you for your consideration and your service to Cheektowaga's families. Those are the three that I have in the record. I also received an email from Colin Bishop at Feedmore, but he was before us, so I will share that email with the board. When I can forward that, I will not read it into the record right now. Everything that's said here was said by Colin up front. At this point, we've heard from the public. I've read statements into the record. Madam Clerk, are there any other statements that you are aware of that need to be read into the record? Okay, thank you. At that, I will open it up to the town board for any comment they may have regarding the hearing and the written comments, or any thoughts they'd like to share. Councilman Pilarski.
So I don't even know what we could do legally because we're kind of backed into a corner. We didn't have a public hearing, so even if, you know, the group decided to go over the tax cap, can we even possibly do that, Tom?
Can't do it without a public hearing. And unless you start setting some very short timelines on meetings and public hearings, like literally in the next week, you don't have the time to do it.
Correct. So we're literally backed into a corner, forced to go with the budget that's presented. And I said it from day one, you know, I'm not for the 7.65%, you know, tax increase proposed by the supervisor. I get the intent of it. Pull the Band-Aid all off at once. Let's address this issue. We're in a mess right now. I proposed cuts that brought us down to 3.3, or that brought us down to a 4.25. That was cutting 3.35% of the supervisor's budget. Right now, that's a difference of 1.67% of the budget that's presented before us. That's under the tax cap. We're cutting spots here in positions that might not even be legal. I mean, we're cutting a highway working foreman that somebody's currently in that position, which may come back and bite us with a grievance and then possible lawsuits. Proposing to close one pool, but it's really going to affect two pools. Arts and culturals are being cut. Feedmore's getting cut, and the possible impacts of that stuff. I think we inflated our revenues to kind of balance this budget here. The bed tax, we haven't even seen a red cent to even be able to project how much. It's not even a local law, and we may not be able to start collecting that revenue until after the first quarter of the year, once we get a law passed, because there's a process to that as well. Public hearing, put it on the books, all that, amend it. It's probably going to get kicked around a little bit. The use of reserve funds. I mean, I can keep going on with this, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I mean, we've had, between our comptroller and finance director, say things like, I caution against it. We're kicking the can down the road. This could possibly create a bigger mess for next year for even a higher proposed budget for over the tax cap. So if we think 7.65 is high now for a proposal, it could lead to even more, a bigger proposal next year. We have to be smarter about how we're going to approach this. This mess was not, and I sound like a broken record, but this mess was not created overnight. This is 8+ budgets of a zero tax increase, and it's caught up with us. We have to chip away at this, in my opinion. I think a 4.25% tax increase for the next 3 years gets us out of this mess. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just don't go all in on it. And until we come up with a good strategy and a good plan, we're going to face this again starting next year, and we're in trouble.
Council members? I'd like to speak. Did you? Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll circle back to this, but a lot of what I was going to say was shared by Councilman Pilarski. And there's cuts in this budget, like cutting food aid and cutting pool funding, that the intent was to save money. And I know they elicit strong emotions and feelings. And for the folks that are sitting up here, each one of us, none of us here want to see people starve. These are people that have served our community for a long time. We have policy disagreements, but none of us want to see the people of our town starve. And nobody here wants to see our kids and our people drowned. None of us want that. So when we talk about the consequences of some of these things, those things could happen, but none of us want that. None of us are asking for that. So when we discuss our differences on this, let's keep it on the policy and remember that everybody here is sitting up at this podium is a decent human being. We just have different ideas of how to go about things. There are a lot of cuts in this budget that I have concerns with for the long-term trajectory of the town. But I want to talk about the bigger picture, and Pilarski started getting into that. The tax increase in the budget is 2.58%, and it's about an extra 1.8 million, close to $1.9 million. The projected revenue increases are around, or the spending increases are around $3.5 million and change. And the percentage revenue increase basically mirrors our contract increases for our bargaining units. One of the good things that has happened in this year on this board is we have a new revenue source in the hotel bed tax. On the conservative end, we're looking to $500,000 to $1 million, right? On the high end, I think we can exceed $2 million. And it's realistic to say this range because Erie County has their own hotel bed tax. It's a 5% tax rather than 3%, and it covers the whole county rather than just our town. But we've got over 3,000 hotel rooms in town with additional motel rooms. And it's a tax that will be paid by people that stay in the hotels. It's not on the property tax levy. It's not on the business's property. It's not on your homes. So it's a source that comes from the outside. I'm concerned about projecting anything because this 500,000, which I'm pretty confident that will show up, quite honestly. But we need it for operating expenses now. And we've talked here about capital needs. We're going to have to look at different solutions going forward for capital needs. Again, the budget I proposed called for 7.6% of a tax increase. And I think we heard people here tonight that talked about maintaining services. And that's where my sympathies lie. That's where my sense of agreement with. I think that's what the majority of our town is at. But we have people that have come up tonight, like Paul and others, and Dan and others, who have expressed a strong sentiment about keeping our town affordable. And we have a tough mission up here that we want to provide good services to our people, and we want to make things affordable. And we may prioritize those two things just a little bit differently, or we may balance that differently in certain ways. None of us want a 12% tax increase, and none of us want to slash all the services. And it's tough to decide what we do. But we're getting to a spot as a town, in my view, looking at the budget over 6 years as a councilman, nearly 2 years as a supervisor, spending long nights, early morning in the basement, looking over old budgets, asking the records department to send me stuff from the late 90s. That's probably irrelevant to what we're doing right now, but just to get more educated on these things. And the way compound interest works, the way healthcare and things are growing, we're going to have a tough year or two coming ahead to balance our budget. But in my time here, I spent 2 years with a split board and with a board which I was a minority member. And I'm glad I did that, because one of the takeaways is another reminder, is to listen to people that have different points of views than I do and take everybody into account. So even though we're going to get new board members up here next year, and they may be closer to my thinking on some things, I see it as my job to listen to everybody. And I can empathize and understand why we go through when we cut certain things. And there are sensible cuts in this budget that, let's say the therapy dog, for example, we were told we didn't need it. That's $3,000 we don't have to budget. Is it a drop in the bucket compared to $113 million? It is. But it's still a cut we can do. And I can come up with other examples. Brian has brought up some examples of things that aren't such a good idea to cut. But I just wanted to say my piece on that this here, I can't support this budget, but it's not because I'm sitting next to bad people. It's not because I served up here with bad people that want to do bad things. They're policy differences. So when we all leave here, just remember that we all want to see this town do well. We see what that means in maybe slightly different ways, but I think where we want to go and the things we want to see, we have a lot in common. That's all I wanted to say. Any other council members?
You know, nobody, like you said, wants to hurt children or the elderly or seniors or anything. That's absolutely the last thing. My kids participated in all the youth programs. I have grandchildren now that are doing the same. With that being said, we've been told, or the 11 so months I've been here, that the budget is a plan. It's not set in stone. It's a guide. It's to help us to try to stay on the road, and it can change all the time. You make amendments, you do what you can do. Maybe we find money somewhere else, or you guys find money somewhere else, because I ain't gonna be sitting here. But whatever you're doing, you know what I mean? Hard choices have to be made. I've been saying that since January. This isn't easy. This isn't pleasant. I don't sit up here thinking, ha ha ha, you know, I did this and I'm leaving now. No, that's the last thing. And conversely, I don't want to say, well, you know what? Let's raise it 15% because I'm walking out the door. I don't care. No, I still live here. I understand what you're saying, Brian, a plan, a goal, you know, but that's also like 13% tax increase in 3 years. It's just kind of, don't punch me in the face, just slap me. That, you know, like, I understand, but I think we could do better. And I have been asking over and over, and nobody up here, but people in certain power places within our town to help and give us a lean year. And I really got nowhere. I got stonewalled and excuses, and somebody has to make a tough choice. We could have held off this budget till after the election, but we didn't. And it's probably, like Mr. Boric said, much to our detriment, but we didn't hide from it because somebody has to make a tough choice. Do we want to close pools? No. Do we want to, you know, feed all that other stuff? No, we don't. But how long are we going to keep doing this and expecting next year to change? Because it doesn't change. It just gets worse. You don't want to project the hotel bed tax. Okay, I get it. It was conservative. $1 originally was conservative. 500,000 we thought was conservative, but you know, it's still a lot of money. We don't know what's going to happen in 26, 27, 28. So to tell people expect 4.25% tax increase in 28, whether you need it or not, we don't know. We don't, you know, you don't know who the president's going to be. You don't know what the economy is going to be like. You don't know what this tariff craziness is going to be. You know, there's just too much unknown. So we have to deal with what we have. And I'm willing to talk some more. I think we have a little more time. I know, I think there's a resolution proposed or something. Maybe we table it and sit down and see if we could do better. I'm willing to do that. It's very passionate, direct people, and I get it. I do. And we're not happy about any of this at all. And it's like the supervisor said, we're trying to balance between the taxpayers and the employees and the kids and the seniors and the rising costs. And it's just like we're constantly getting kicked in the teeth and there's nowhere to turn. But historically, we've always turned to the taxpayers. Give us a little more, we'll do better next year. Give us a little more and do better next year. Next year never comes. Just keep giving us more. There's a lot of people that can't give anymore. There's a lot of houses for sale in this town. So, like I said, I'm willing to table this and work better if, you know, and see if we can come up with something a little better if everybody else is willing. Thank you.
Councilmember Benchkowski.
I did want to clarify a few things with Meals on Wheels. We are not cutting the Meals on Wheels service.
so everybody knows. It is traditionally been a donation, a voluntary donation to Meals on Wheels. None of the services will change. It's just scare tactics from Feed More. I mean, our donation could possibly be going to the executive director's salary at Feed More, which is over $100,000, which it should be going for our seniors. We also, and I'm asking the town attorney, I have talked to him today about getting an opinion about us possibly being in violation of the state constitution's gift clause. We do not have any agreement that I can find with Feed More stating exactly what the funds are being used for. That would be an appropriate way to use it. What we're doing is just giving a donation, and we do not have any control over the funds. So this is just about accountability, and why is our town making this big donation, but no other towns are? So we're just trying to have people be more accountable for our taxpayers' money and make sure it's going for our seniors in town. And we need an agreement because nobody's gotten back to me about finding an agreement with Feed More as far as what our tax dollars are going for. For instance, Dave knows for the symphony, when we gave them funds, they would have to sign an agreement with the town for every dollar what it's being used for. We don't get that with Feed More. So it wouldn't be fair for Feed More to cut our senior services or services to Meals on Wheels for our seniors if every other town in the county is getting service and then our seniors aren't, because we don't give them the $57,000 donation. So we have to find out what's legal under the state constitution and how to fix it. And I'm asking, I actually sent an email to Feed More to find out exactly what other towns are contributing to them. I'd be interested to see their agreements with them. So that's one of my comments on that. We'll take a look at that, but no senior service to Meals on Wheels is going to change. Also, I don't think, and I can't find in the budget, we did not cut the YES program at all. So I'm wondering where some of these speakers were getting the information that we were cutting the YES program or the summer day camp funding. We weren't cutting that. All we did was cut salaries down to a 3.25% increase in salary rate rather than cutting the actual program. So, and it's all into the administration and of paying for the part-timers. So if our full-timers are getting a 3.25% increase, wouldn't it make sense that our part-timers who run the program only get that amount instead of a couple lines showed increases of 19.4% increase? That just doesn't make sense. So we had analyzed all those lines to make sure everybody's increase was equal and nobody got more than another person. And it should be across the board throughout the whole town, not just certain people getting a bigger increase. As far as like a lot of upgrades were asked for, that we cut those because we didn't think that was fair. And it was administrative costs for department heads that we felt that, you know, it was not fair to do an upgrade in increase pay. One of them was $14,000. We cut that out. So if you go line by line, it's on the website. It's the budget prep report under the 2026 preliminary budget. You'll be able to see a lot of the detail if you look line by line, and then you go back and you can see the different years. It goes back to 2023 what we spent. and then 2024, and a projection for 2025 at the end of the year. So we analyzed that. We spent many, many hours, and these are difficult decisions that nobody wants to make. And the other one I was kind of confused about is the swim lessons. Even though we might close one pool, there's swim lessons happening during the winter at, I think it's JFK's pool. So I'm not sure why we're saying we're not providing any swim lessons. There will be swim lessons at the town park pool is staying open, and maybe we're thinking of closing one pool or perhaps just cutting hours in both pools. So we have to think outside the box. It's the same comment or answer as well. That's the way we've always done it before, but maybe we can be creative and possibly have one pool open 3 days a week in the morning, and then that same staff would go in the afternoon to another pool. So we have to keep them rotating. I mean, I'm one of those people that can think outside the box, be creative within my budget that I'm presenting with. And that's what Tony said, is it's not carved in stone. If you might have had your part-time admin intern line cut a little bit by $1,400. Well, figure it out. Like, where can you draw it from another line if you absolutely need that? But these are all just salaries that we had cut just to make it even across the board. Nobody said anything about the YES program being cut or swim lessons. I can't even find the swim lessons on here as far as the detailed budget. Perhaps also, I think Mr. Kunkel and Kathy Giles, are you still here? Yes. What did you say you were charging as far as swim lessons for? Yeah. See, did you ever think maybe if we're really out of balance with what people are paying at another place to get the same classes, 30 classes in the summer, you're saying Michael Phelps, Goldfish, they're like $960 and we're only charging $47. Shouldn't we look at the revenue side of it too? Maybe charge a little more for the program so that they're self-sufficient like other towns are doing. Usually if you're paying for the program, it's to pay for the staff that provides the program. So I'm just saying we also, though, we do still have community block grant funding for families who do qualify for, like the Alexander Day Camp. We're not cutting that. And those residents that are receiving help with that program will continue to do that. We didn't say we're cutting the Alexander program. So all I'm saying is try to look at your revenue side and possibly look at increasing some of those funds there, just so that we can focus on the people who take advantage of the programs and some of the seniors who aren't taking advantage of it. They need to be able to have 3 meals a day, where so many seniors are telling me they can only put two meals a day on there. They're not eating lunch, or they're not eating breakfast. They're eating just 2 meals instead of the 3. And we just have to take into consideration everybody, and these are very difficult decisions. So thank you for listening to me, and I have listened to everybody, and I will take into consideration some possible changes.
Council members?
I just want to say that this budget by no means has been easy. We spent many, many hours going line by line with each department and seeing what could possibly be done. And again, it's not easy. I'm glad Diane did bring up, because some of the comments that were made about some programs that we were cutting from Youth and Rec, and that was not true. Again, yes, we were considering pools, and again, just a consideration. That doesn't mean that for sure that we're going to cut or not have a pool open, because we know the importance of it. Maybe again, the reduced hours. And again, also with the seniors for the Meals on Wheels or Feed More, excuse me. Again, it's not taking all that money out. It originally was $57,000 in that budget. We were just cutting it down a little bit. And again, the guarantee our seniors who are utilizing it will still get the stuff, the food. It's not that because we're cutting that out, that they're not going to get those services, because that's not true. And again, like Tony said too, I'm open to sit and discuss some things, some changes maybe we can make. But again, this is certainly not easy, and we're trying to consider and think of everybody, you, the taxpayer.
And with that, I'd like to move on to consideration of the resolution items. Madam Clerk, could you take over on those, please?
We have Resolution 2025-779, sponsored by council members Benchkowski, Filipski, and Bukowski. Whereas officers and employees in charge of various administrative units of the government of the town of Cheektowaga have submitted estimate of revenues and expenditures for the 2026. Advisor, as the town Cheektowaga budget officer, has caused a tentative budget to be prepared, and the town clerk has presented such budget to this town board. This town board conducted a special meeting on October 24th, 2025 to consider and modify the tentative budget as the town's preliminary budget. This town board held a public hearing related to the town's preliminary budget on November 6, 2025, as required by Section 108 of the town law. Now therefore be it resolved that the preliminary budget, as changed, altered, and revised, and as herein set forth, listed below. The ad valorem budget for appropriations is $95,525,751. Other revenues, $23,278,751. Appropriated fund balance, $11,029,836, with a total tax levy, $61,217,164. Resolved that the preliminary budget is hereby adopted as the annual budget of the town of Cheektowaga for the fiscal year beginning on January 1st, 2026.
Make a motion to table till the next meeting, which would be November 12th, correct?
I'll second.
Resolution is tabled. Resolution 2025-780, sponsored by Councilmember Benchkowski, Filipski, and Bukowski. Whereas Brian Nowak, Supervisor of the Town of Cheektowaga, New York, presented a tentative budget and assessment roll showing the various sums of money that were and will be required to defray the expenses of the special districts, namely the Town of Cheektowaga 2026 benefit basis budget. This town board conducted a special meeting on October 24th, 2025 to consider and modify the tentative budget as the town's preliminary budget. The public hearing was duly held on the 6th day of November 2025 at 6 p.m. in relation to the preliminary benefit basis budget as provided by law, with amendments made to same listed below. The benefit basis budget includes appropriations of $18,068,325, other revenues of $536,170, appropriated fund balance $3,208,240, with tax levy of $14,323,915. Resolved that the budget and assessment roll for special districts in the town of Cheektowaga be and the same is hereby adopted.
I'd like to table it till the next meeting on November 12th.
I'll second.
That motion is tabled. That is the end of our resolution items tonight.
Madam Clerk, and with that, our next order of business is adjournment. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I just speak quick? Do we get a council comment on this one or
We
not?
don't have it on the agenda. Will council members like to speak?
I do.
I'm just going strictly by the script.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we'll go right across.
So the problem we have though right now, I know we're going to sit down, look at this, where the cuts, all we're doing is shifting the cuts now. We cannot go over the 2.58. We're locked in. So we could have technically just approved this budget as is, because the budget itself is just a guideline on how much taxes we need to collect. So we still need to collect this 2.58. Now what we're doing is shifting based off of what we heard of $100,000 from pools if we decide not to cut that, or the $30,000 from Feed More, or the $12,000 from the Symphony, all these other, cuts there. All we got to do now is figure out now who's going to get cut. And it was tough getting to this point. So do we inflate the revenues again now? A little more, another, $250,000? So we could have approved this budget today as is and still be at 2.5, which we're going to have to do on Wednesday's meeting, and just figure out where we're shifting these cuts now, which it was hard to get to this cut of 2.5. So we kind of just did a smoke and mirrors thing right here. We still got a problem.
Councilmember Benchkowski.
I don't think that I look at it that way, council member. I'm here to listen to those residents, and I need to take that in and look at everything again before I make that decision tonight.
That's where the public comment period should have come in well before tonight.
No, this is the hearing that we were
Tax
supposed to
cap one
listen.
should have been coming. It would have.
No, I wouldn't be going
We're back
over
into a
that.
corner is all I'm saying right now. We
Right.
have to say
Right.
2.5.
All right, any other council members?
I would just think, I'm sorry, I don't want to belabor this, but in my opinion, I think having a hearing to go to the tax cap in January is a little premature. I mean, that's raising the white flag the second week of the year. And that was my thinking anyways. In retrospect, last month or it's November, right? October, whatever. Should we have done it? Probably. It was a mistake. And maybe, I don't know why I didn't say us. I don't recall the thinking back then, but I apologize. Maybe, I was probably wrong for not doing that. And here we are.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
We're just having a public hearing to go to the tax cap. And it is, we are where we are, but we still, in my mind, have to make hard decisions. We're trying, I don't want to walk out of here and stick these guys with a mess, with more. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. I don't work that way. We need all you guys, you new guys, we need you all to succeed. Because if you fail, we all fail. And it doesn't matter who's sitting up here. So I think we could have some discussions. You hate to say it, but again, there's raises for non-union employees. Do we have to do something, change that? I don't know. But I think we can have a discussion further, I think, and see what's what. So we got 2 weeks, right?
Next week.
Well, I had tabled it then to the next meeting, but
yeah, so we would have to act on
this doesn't have to be filed till November 20th,
We have to.
technically. but-
18th, right?
We have to have it to county by the 19th, absolutely.
Yes, so.
We have a meeting on Wednesday. Wednesday's it. Wednesday's it.
There's no other time. We've got 5 days or whatever it is.
5 of us up here tonight. Wednesday is it. That's the next regularly scheduled meeting where we can expect attendance. So, Councilmember Bukowski, did you, anything? Okay, that's, Mr. Highway Superintendent, directly relevant to this discussion right now? I'll give you a moment if you want to approach, and then we'll close out.
Mr. Supervisor, while he's coming up, did you formally close the public hearing?
Not yet. We have, with the budget resolutions are tabled, should we close the hearing? I mean, in all honesty, should we leave it open for the next meeting?
Leave it open?
Yeah, I would leave it open, but thank you for drawing my attention to that.
A lot of discussions went on tonight. It seems we kind of forgot about highway. We've been on the low burn for 2 years now. We really haven't accomplished a lot of road work. We got one project we're doing, but normally we pave, 50 streets a year? We got 750 some streets in our town. It's a 15-year turnaround to preserve our roads. I mean, this is another part of this whole thing. It's like the pools. It's like anything. It's a service that we try to provide for our town. We want to give them nice roads. We want to give them good drainage. And we're getting so far behind because of what happened in the last 8-10 years, with trying to keep the budget at zero. If we would have kept it rolling along at the tax cap, we wouldn't be in this position right now. I'm talking as a resident here. I don't want to pay any more in taxes. I don't want to waste any money. I got trucks that are, they're 20-some years old. They don't even build them anymore, the ones we have. We're having a hard time keeping them going. But we did get some money. I appreciate the money we got for trucks. A truck right now is in the 300,000 range. We got 500,000. It gives me a truck. We pulled other money because we didn't pave. We had extras. We're going to put a second truck on. But that's nothing compared to what we need. And it's actually, they're not wants, they're needs. If I wanted, I got a list of stuff that we could fix and get new stuff for, but I understand where we're at on this budget. So I just wanted everybody know this is something, we're taking another service away by keeping the roads up. They're getting worse. The infrastructure under the roads is getting worse. Everything we do now is good for 100 years underground. All the piping we put in, the stuff that was put in back in the 70s, it was 35 years. And it's been stretched out. Look at the date. We got away with murder on that. But that you see how many calls we get for sinkholes. That's a galvanized pipe leaking, deteriorating, the dirt's falling into it, and the road starts collapsing. It's just part of nature. And to keep up with nature, we got to do a lot of work to do it. And just Mother Nature is not good here because where we live, Western New York, we're the head of the storms. We're the focal point, and every winter for the news, it's Buffalo. I mean, I would like to see the state do a little push where we get a little more money in Western New York than out east.
You guys are watching the Weather Channel, Rick.
Yeah. I mean, it's look at it. We get the storms, us and Tug Hill, Syracuse. We get blasted and, I mean, they get snow, but not like what we get. And that costs us more money, and we're working the same money they get. So these are things what we look at in the Highway Association, trying to make some changes through the state to get us more money. We do have our CHIPS money. We put it towards our paving, but the infrastructure, that's where we need this, a little push from the board. And I know we don't want to raise taxes, but we have to. I'm not here to waste anybody's money. I'm here to put it out and give you $1 for $1 for everything we do. So other than that, thank you.
With that, the board's pleasure on the public hearing. Are we to leave it open for the next meeting on Wednesday, the 12th? Or would yeah, all right. We'll leave it open then. I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second from Councilmember